Hello YouTube, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. Boy, this beard is pretty white. Used to be red. I'm not kidding. Used to be a little red in the sun. Get a little sun, bright red. Just pure white. I look like a character in a Western, and not one of the good guys. We got a question here from Jackson Witherman, who says, what ADA, so Americans with Disabilities Act, responsibilities does an employer have for an employee returning from mental health disability leave if no accommodations were needed at the time of return? My attorney says I'm not protected because I didn't request accommodations, but the only reason I started having daily panic attacks at work was due to how badly management treated me after I came back. And I have a letter from my post-leave psychiatrist confirming that as well. Why would I need to file an accommodation just not to be harassed? Isn't that a separate issue? Okay. So I don't want to undercut your attorney. And your attorney might be quoting like a state law or a local law where you are. I don't know. So I'm not saying your attorney's wrong. But I am saying under the federal laws, it's not that simple. So if your employer is aware of your disability, and this is key, right? One of the things your attorney might be saying is, hey, your employer wasn't aware of the disability because you didn't ask for accommodations. The employer is not aware of the disability, and they don't know. You could have an FMLA case. It looks like you used Family Medical Leave Act time. So you could just, in that case, bring your claim for Family Medical Leave Act retaliation. But, assuming your employer did know about your disability, you were out for the disability, you disclosed the disability in some way, they can't fire you because of the disability. There's a lot of things you can argue. You can argue, hey, they didn't want to accommodate me in the future, so they're firing me now. Great. You're in the game, right? But your attorney's not wrong. If you ask for accommodation and the employer failed to engage in the reasonable accommodation dialogue or refused to give you reasonable accommodation, your case might be stronger. Might have a little more teeth to it, might be a little more valuable, a little less risky. Excuse me. But just because you didn't need an accommodation doesn't mean that your employer can say, hey, we're firing you because that mental health disability you got there, boy. Like, that's not going to fly, right? And we throw the boy in there because this employer is a villain in this scenario. Okay, let me just be clear. I don't talk that way. Trying to embody the villain of the employer. So your attorney's saying things that could be true in certain contexts. Not super duper not second guessing your attorney. But I will say fundamentally the way you've said this here, I don't agree. The employer cannot fire you because you have a disability under the ADA. That is true whether you seek accommodations or not. There is case law to that effect. It is not perfect case law. It may not be case law in your jurisdiction, which is problematic. But there is certainly case law to that effect. It's not so simple as, hey, you didn't seek accommodations, so you don't have the protections of the ADA. It is not that simple. It has never been that simple. Okay? Now, again, not, super duper duper, with a pooper scooper, not second guessing your attorney. You hired that attorney for a reason. You trust that attorney. They have a reason for what they're saying, I'm sure. Something's getting lost in translation here. But your employer can't say, you got that there mental health disability, and we're going to fire you because you got it. That's not a thing. That's a claim. That's a claim. You should talk to attorneys, bring claims. Absolutely. No question. And that's true whether you seek the accommodation or not. All right? All right. Jackson Witherman, I wish you luck. I wish you and your attorney a frank conversation about this where you get down to brass tacks and really discuss what's going on. And I mean, you already got an attorney, so your attorney must think you have a case.